Hey, what's up? Welcome to another Get Geekish podcast. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Bino. That's Derek over there joining me as usual for our mostly weekly podcast where we get all geeky about random things, because we all started this whole thing under the premise of Get Geekish, the fact that we love geeky things from all over the place, but life gets in the way sometimes. So just a place where we can geek out about things without having to have the pressure of being an expert or know everything about it or watch every episode. And today is going to really expound on that, because we're talking anime today.
Well, the thing about geekiness, too, is, and especially since this topic of anime, so I'm trying to get my light set up, too, is it hasn't always been accepted. You went through it, I went through it growing up. You know, we're not always in the greatest social circles. You know, it always had that stigma of, you're such a nerd.
Yeah, the 70s and 80s, people that were really into anime, there was some stereotypes that went along with it. And I'm going to preface it right now that we'll probably mispronounce something today or have something off, because I will fully admit I love a lot of anime, but I know about that much about it. And I do know that a lot of people that are really into anime are very specific and sometimes get, how am I going to say this, aggressive if you get it wrong.
Passionate.
Yes, passionate. So, be saying, I'm talking about it because I like the stuff, and I think the premise we have about this is because, one, we would talk about the live-action Cowboy Bebop that's coming in November, which I'm really excited about, and just about how some of the anime, especially the westernized anime, that has become mainstream. I have to explain this to my daughter a lot, too, because she's getting really big into anime right now all of a sudden, of what anime actually is. Because I always thought anime is just short for animation, right? But it's not technically the true. Animation is anything animated. Anime is animation from Japan. It used to be called Japanimation, moved on to it. So even some of the things we talk about, we refer to it as anime. I'm not going to full out say every time anime-inspired animation. I'm just going to refer to anime as anything that looks close to the same. So if you're going to get mad at me, I'm prefacing it right now. Anything I say that is in reference to anime-inspired animation. I don't know things that have come from Japan or not necessarily. Like, I just care about the show.
Well, and one thing, too, is, I mean, anime has, I think, become a more broader term for a lot of things. Because, I mean, you look at some of the stuff that Rooster Teeth does with Ruby, which is made here in Austin, Texas.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! A lot of people consider that, anime. But like it's Western anime. It's anime inspired, like you said. So, but a lot of people still classify it as anime. Going back to, oh man, how far do we want to go back? I mean, so growing up, I used to watch Sailor Moon constantly. Right, I loved that show, and it's kind of funny because we're rewatching it now because my daughter wanted to watch it, and now she's really into it, and like watching it is like, it kind of brings back memories. But I remember back then, it wasn't really at least in the small town that I grew up in, it wasn't really popular, And if somebody was like, "Oh, you watch that girly show?" I'm like, "Well, it's more than that, but okay,"
Yeah, they were very not popular, but I remember as a kid, a show that I didn't even know what the name of it was until I was in my 20s. Nice. And I saw a picture on a convention. I'm like, I remember that cartoon. But when I was a kid, I watched Mazinger Z, pronunciation might be wrong on that, religiously. I don't know how or why I got access to it, but whatever cable package my parents had when I was a kid, I could watch that show, and I loved it as a kid. And I don't think anyone else around me had ever even heard of that thing before. Some of my friends' older brothers were really big into Gundam and Ghost in the Shell, so I saw some of that stuff once in a while, but as a kid looking up at that seemed like older, scary, naughty anime that, maybe I shouldn't be watching that or something like that. But just because it was different. It wasn't Disney cartoons. It was dark, it was edgy, and you see it and you're like, ooh, they're probably saying a bad word. Well,
so it's funny that you bring that up, that it's the naughty anime, because for whatever reason, and I don't know if this was a whole thing or what, but like at least around me, anime had that connotation of like, you shouldn't be watching it. It's very sexual. It's and I think a lot of people got it confused too, because in the 90s hentai became a huge thing, and that's something we won't go into. But so I think
a lot of tentacles and feeling real bad about yourself.
I think a lot of people got confused, and I remember I was like, so when like Sailor Moon came out, or even like when my grandma had cable and Toonami would come on Cartoon Network, which that opened my eyes to a lot of different animes. But even that came on, I felt like, oh my god, I shouldn't be watching this. And I watched it, I was like, well, this isn't bad. And there was an anime on there that I really liked, but I don't remember it. But it also sings. I didn't get into the one anime that most of our generation did, and that's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
I watched some, but to me that was always a thing. I know that if we're going to speak live action, the movie fell way short. I'm pretty sure even the director was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have made this type of thing.
I never got into Dragon Ball Z. I had a roommate in college that absolutely adored Dragon Ball, so I saw a lot of it, but never really watched it. I'd sit down watching parts of it, and I still remember, again, not knocking Dragon Ball Z because lots of people love it, but at the time when I was watching it, every episode was a 5-minute recap of the previous episode, some guys looking back and forth with each other for 10 minutes, and then a preview of what's coming next. And that was like every episode. There was just 17 minutes of like, that's all I saw at the time, so I never got into the actual story. I just saw bits and pieces. You're like, this is dumb. But
well, that's
I think I probably missed out on a few things.
But I think, from what I've heard, it's very lore-driven, has a lot of great story and everything like that, but I'm with you, is like, Dragon Ball Z was on forever. There's so many episodes to that, like, you can't just pop in and pick it up, like, without knowing anything on it.
Yeah, back to our original topic of not having time. I don't have time to do it. I look at the same thing as One Piece. One Piece has, what, 800 or 900 episodes now or something like that? I
have no idea.
So I'm going to get caught up on all that. I'm just going to spend every waking moment of free time I have until I'm 116. Oh, yeah, okay, cool. I can't do it.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is, I mean, we, going to cons obviously opened our eyes up to a lot of different genres and fandoms and everything like that, and the anime crowd at cons never ceased to amaze me.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they go all out, and we've talked to some who were like, we go to take their picture and they're wearing glasses, like, oh, I got to take these out because it's not true to my character type of thing. I'm like, okay, you'd rather be blind and true to your character than, and it's just crazy because like that opened our eyes and it made it go, oh, I want to watch that. Oh, I want to watch that. But the problem is when we go, it's the whole time thing. It's like there's so many animes out there that I have on my list that I want to watch, but I don't have time.
I know. You even go to Netflix. You just go to the anime series on Netflix right now, and there's countless shows on there. And that's just a small fraction. When you start getting to the Funimation subscription and some of the other ones that are out there, there's just so much available. Mm-hmm. That I feel like you just got to do some pick and choosing. If you want to get into anime, you've got to go get a recommendation from somebody you trust, and then just dive into a couple of things and see what happens. Like,
well, and that's the thing too, is like now that anime I think has become more mainstream and more easily accessible, it's become more popular. It's more accepted now, which is I think is fantastic because again, growing up in the '90s, we didn't have streaming services. If you wanted to watch anime, you had to watch like the VHS that somebody got that wasn't dubbed, so it had the subtitles on, or if you were lucky enough to have cable, you could watch it on Toonami, but that was late at night on Cartoon Network. Mm-hmm. So, and other than that, the anime that was on regular channels was Sailor Moon, Pokemon, and I think that's about it. I'm trying to think. Maybe what is Yu-Gi-Oh count?
Well, I think it would count for going for the anime-inspired stuff. It's on there.
But yeah, that's all you really had access to. Which, and I think that again, that was why their whole like, oh, you watch anime, you're such a nerd. And I'm like, but it's cool.
Yeah, and that's why I said I feel bad too about it because I don't want to alienate anybody, but I feel like sometimes the anime crowds are going almost the way of the music crowd did in the late '90s and early 2000s. A lot of people want to have their special, unique thing that this is mine, I love it, and as soon as everybody else starts liking it, well, then they're just posers because they didn't like it early enough, or they didn't watch it back when it was on this. Or I, for one, I know a lot of anime fans will want to punch me in the face for this probably, but I really don't like watching most of the subtitled ones. Call me a stupid American, but I really like the dubbed versions just because it's so much easier to watch and contemplate what's going on.
Well, here's the thing to that, too, is, there is that whole debate of, not the perfectionists, but the people who, there is some very passionate people that get in arguments. I mean, you can go on Twitter and You know, there's a whole thing of like, you know, subbed is better than dubbed and everything like that. And I get it. I've watched anime with subtitles. I've watched foreign films with subtitles, and it's great. But also too, like, you kind of miss some of the beauty that's going on. As like, you know, like with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I've seen that movie many times, and each time I watch it, you get a little bit more because you're like, oh, I missed that part. Mm-hmm. And the other argument is too is like for people like you and me who have done voiceover stuff, we have an appreciation for the dubbed. Mm-hmm. That's giving people jobs and making it so more people. I mean, one like my daughter, your daughter, yes, they can read, but they get more enjoyment because they can't read that fast. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, you know, the subtitles are just going like that, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Mm-hmm. And again, it's if you love the dubbed version, there more power to, but don't get angry at somebody else because they wanted to watch a dubbed version. Just enjoy your thing and let them enjoy their thing. And
I don't know about you, but have you? I mean, because we both watched. You're wearing the shirt, My Hero Academia. Mm-hmm. I am here. So you have that voice, right? You know that voice, and if you watch the subbed, because like, you know, the subbed version, the subbed episodes come out before the dubbed. If you try to watch those, it
throws my brain off.
Yeah, I'm so used to the voices for the dubbed. It's just like I'm like, wait a minute.
and it's cultural differences too, just because there's certain things of high pitched voices versus low pitched voices talking so for a second. That's mean different things in different parts of the world. So if a character's supposed to sound really evil, and in this version it's a really low dark voice, but really evil, in the anime it might be a super high pitched evil voice, and it just like. It throws my brain off a lot because, like I said, going back to having the voiceover acting, like I really pay attention to a lot of that, and it hurts my brain when a character has two different sides. So I just have to pick one. I can't like go back and forth with someone with different voices. Yep. Even when they have guest actors, like you can go back and watch some of the early episodes of The Simpsons, and you can tell there's episodes where Dan Castellaneta was Homer's voice. Obviously had a cold or something, and his voice is super, super different. And I can't even hardly watch the episodes because it's just like nails on a chalkboard in my brain going, it's not right.
Well, I mean, that's with any animation, too. I mean, in any animation, early in the animation, the voices aren't fine-tuned. And, like, after episodes, they start to get, you know, more crisp and more clean. And that's the thing. I was like, I tried to watch My Hero when it was subbed because I was like, oh, I want to see what's going on. I was like, I can't do this. You know, I can't do this. And I started Attack on Titan subbed, so, you know, it kind of worked. But when I watched it dubbed, I was like, okay, that for some reason that transition made it a little bit easier. But when you go from dubbed to subbed, it's like,
you can't go, you can go one way, the other way doesn't generally work.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, that hurts my brain.
Attack on Titan's another one. I've wanted to get into it, but I made the mistake of watching the live action movie first, which was atrocious. And now I can't bring myself to waste any time to watch any of the other versions, which I hear great things about. But
it's really great. Well, that's the thing, too, is like you said, you have to, I mean, with us, you know, not having time, you have to pick and choose what you want to watch. You brought up a great point with the live action. So we talked about the Dragon Ball Z where it fell short, right? You have Attack on Titan, which in certain areas, the live action did okay. And then in certain areas, it failed. You have Death Note, which Netflix adapted, and people ripped it apart for changing so many things. And I'm right there with them because I mean, when you change a character's characteristic, it's like, come on. And then we have the live action Cowboy Bebop, which I have to say I'm excited for.
I am. I was a little leery because there was the original hubbub when they were going to cast a husky or then a German shepherd as Ein. I was a little upset about it. I mean, corgis are a little near and dear to my heart. So,
well, corgi's the main part of that show.
Yeah, Ein's a big deal. So now they've got the actual corgi, and Netflix has that teaser they did of him going around the office. I'm very excited about that. And I mean, the cast looks pretty solid. John Cho is Spike. He's old for the character he's playing, but you look at him, he could still pass for a young guy. And there's a whole interview he did about it where he brings it up too. He's like, you know what? I might have looked the part when I was 27, but I could not have acted this part when I was 27. Like, there's a lot of things that go into Spike's character that he seems to be really in tune with, which if he cares that much about it and is full out admitting that and going into the movie like saying, hey, no, trust me, just we're going to do this like it's supposed to be done. Like,
I will remember when I was right there with you when they announced it. They're like, yeah, it's not gonna be a corgi. And I looked at you and I was like, did you hear about this? You're like, nah, stop messing with me. I was like, no. that's gonna be trash. I mean, and if you look at the anime inspired, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, great series. The movie,
Yeah, the live action one.
we've talked about it many times on this podcast.
We don't talk about that movie. Excuse me.
I've seen that movie once, and that's when we saw it in the theater, and I have not watched it since. Part of me is like, well, maybe it's not as bad as I remember, and then I can't bring myself to watch it again.
See, I laugh too because I look at a lot of these lists that people put together of animes that somebody should watch to get into anime, which is funny because that list is almost synonymous with the animes that people will make fun of you if those are the only animes you watched. Because some of them are great. But you look. Here's a list from List Challenges. They have One Piece, Naruto, Full Metal Alchemist, Bleach, Fairy Tail, Sailor Moon, Death Note, Pokemon, Dragon Ball, Sword Art, Tokyo Ghoul, Seven Deadly Sins, Attack on Titan. Like, it's a pretty solid list. If you picked a few of those to watch, there's a good chance you will probably like something about it and want to watch more.
I'm surprised My Hero's not on that list.
If you keep scrolling down, I think the next we have Hunter x Hunter, My Hero, One Punch Man, Elfen Lied, Psychopaths, Cowboy Bebop, Soul Eater. Then it keeps going. Like I said, this is there's 17 pages of this that it goes on for down this list on here. It's just a fun thing, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but the anime inspired is just different enough. You look at all the Miyazaki movies and things like that. Like Spirited Away is, in most circles, the movie that... No, you have a copy of that in your house if you like anything anime at all, because that's
right,
one of the works of art for it. And those whole collections. If you're expecting a Disney plot, you don't get it. Some of them are weird, offbeat, crazy things happen, things aren't explained, but they're really entertaining if you just let yourself enjoy them. But you just have to go into it knowing that you might have to, suspend your previously held beliefs about things for a little while and just accept some weird things that might happen. Like, yeah, sure, there's a living castle that walks around when it feels like it. Yeah, cool. Doesn't explain it, but we're just going to roll with this and see what it does.
Well, I think that's the other thing, too, is going back to the 90s, early 2000s, why anime was also kind of like... Because it was weird. It was weird to people, you know? They were used to the traditional cartoons like G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, all that type of stuff where it had, consistency and everything like that. And then Pokemon came in here, flipped everything upside down, gave kids seizures for that one episode, and that was a whole thing. I remember that. But and kind of changed the world. And they're like, okay, what's going on? So people going into, My Neighbor Totoro or whatever, expecting a Disney movie, and they get something a little bit different. And I think it's great. And I don't know. I wish more people were more open to the animations. Because, when I was in South Korea, I took a picture for you because I went to that anime museum that they have there. It's like a library. You go in, you can pick anything you want. And oh my gosh, there's so much to choose from. But yeah, just sitting down watching it, you could sit there for hours and just watch it. And it's so awesome. To be able to have something like that was so cool. And
I feel like it's different. A lot of the animes, I feel like in general, they seem to be much more ahead of the curve of developing characters more so. Where a lot of Western animation was just made, we got some explosions and a moral and a story, here we go. Like, there's series that went on for years in the 80s and 90s where there was absolutely zero character development ever. It was just the same heroes showed up, fought against the same villains, and carried on with their lives. But I feel like a lot of the anime, the character development was one of the core values of what went on to it. And these characters went through changes, and if they were good or bad, there was the hero still did bad things, and the villain still did good things. And there's a lot more, humanistic characters that went in a lot of them.
Well, they also touched on topics too that cartoons here in America wouldn't touch. I look at Grave of the Fireflies, which is an anime inspired movie. It's an anime movie, we'll say, but the whole premise is around World War II. And it's pretty dang serious for a cartoon movie. Where back then, if you watch it, you're like, what is going on? Why am I crying at this? And and not even that. You look at some of the stuff. Yes, Sailor Moon is sometimes over the top and everything like that. But if you start watching some of the later episodes, they start developing the characters more, like you said, and then they start actually touching on some social topics. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And now I like that some cartoons are now starting to touch on that. Early 90s or 90s, early 2000s. No, it's all about selling toys.
And I loved them, but
yeah. But I don't know. I mean, there is so many. You Google which anime shows to watch, like you said, there is a list of 50 right off the bat that I've only seen a handful of them. I would like to say I've seen more. I have very many recommendations from a friend of mine. Unfortunately, I have not gotten to them yet, but
yeah, the ones I've watched that I've liked, which again, I apologize if these don't fit the criteria, but we'll go with anime inspired. I didn't think I was going to like My Hero, fell in love with it. Really enjoy Seven Deadly Sins. Full Metal Alchemist was a lot more charming than I was expecting. Because that was one of the ones where every convention you saw some people dressed up like Full Metal Alchemist. Like, what the heck is this all about? Turn it on, like, okay, it's probably some death robot, lots of fighting, and then you're like, oh, an adorable little guy. Oh, this is cute.
right.
What are some of the other ones that I've watched that have been good?
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop, yeah, which is another one that when I was younger, I didn't get it. I watched them like this. What is this? And then I watch it now. I'm like, okay, this is a really good story. Like, this is solid stuff.
The only problem is it's really short.
Yeah. Other plus of the remake they're making is the fact that they said that they're not doing a screen-by-screen remake. It's going to be a different storyline, so it's not just the cartoon turned live, which I feel like is a good move.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes the shot-for-shot kind of ruin it because, again, you have that aspect in your head of, like, okay, and then you watch it, you're like, okay. But, I don't know. And the thing about animes, too, is, like, most of the theme songs are just bangers, as the kids would say.
I do have a folder of nothing but anime music on my music player that I listen to once in a while. It's fun.
Oh man, it's like, Dad. Yeah. Anyway,
the only trouble I have is when I go back to find them, I have to go try and find the songs, and sometimes it is a lesson in Google searching with parentheses in foreign languages to find out what you're actually needing for the song.
I need this one song. I don't know what it's called.
And then I wish I could. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up, find it. But when I have the lyrics translated, because the Google Translate puts them in there for you. Some of the lyrics you're like, oh, this is a really weird theme song now all of a sudden. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. I'm going to find one of these right now because there's one that just had me keeling over it laughing.
Well, that's the thing, too, is like with My Hero, every season they switch the theme song a little bit. And I mean, they put the subtitles down at the bottom of it so you can read it. And sometimes you're like, I mean, okay, I'm going to go, that works.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more room for them, like you said, to develop the characters. They're not set on necessarily one path. I mean, they can do that linear story, but then with the side stories, I think they do a good job too, still developing those characters that are needed. And that's why I'm excited for the live action Cowboy Bebop. Am I going to watch it? Yes. Am I going to have high hopes? Moderately.
I'm going to want it to be good.
Right. Well, again, it's just like going by the screenshots. It looks like it, how it should come to life. And the fact that I feel like maybe they were just trolling us saying that it wasn't going to be a corgi, but they always knew it was going to be a corgi.
Uh-huh.
Because that wouldn't make sense.
Okay, I found it, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if that came through, but I think it's one of the My Hero songs. One of season 4 or 5 for the outro. And the translated lyrics start off with, unusual hair odor, I'm sorry to be danced, gently sunk in the loose mouth muffler. From when I'm like this, I think I was patient, even though I was ridiculed as a crybaby since I was a kid. Keep it a secret, what a cruel world, screaming haze.
Okay. I have nothing to follow that. How do you follow that?
In full translation, that probably makes perfect sense, but when the backwards Google translation comes up with that, you're like, oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Unusual hair odor. Yes.
I feel like part of that is proper translation, and the other part is like, because it's the whole context thing. If you use a certain thing in a context, great. Sometimes out of context, it doesn't work. So I feel like Google Translation's like, I tried.
Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, you know what? It's the best I got. But I guess we should probably wrap it up right there. Like if you're an anime fan, hopefully it wouldn't offend you too much. And if you haven't been into anime and you're still listening, you're probably thinking you want to watch something. So go watch something. Mm-hmm. A lot of anime episodes are also short, which is nice too.
Yeah, give it a try. I mean, it took me a little bit to get into My Hero because like the first couple episodes, I'm like, God, this guy whines constantly.
The first season of My Hero is Deku crying. Just get through that, and you're good to go.
But after that, it gets great.
But what are some of your favorite animes? Because we've mentioned some we've seen, but what are some other must-watches that we should move to the top of our queues for when we do have time to watch more? Let us know in the comments. Go to @Geekish and land me some of your favorite anime shows.
Eren Yeager. God, I need to watch Attack on Titan again. Anyway, all right.
Well, thanks so much for listening. It's Get Geekish, and we will talk at you next week.
Woo!
Thanks for listening. We appreciate it very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. And speaking of more podcasts, we got plenty of them. Check the links.